Good afternoon, Sunday Clubbers. It is great to be back with you this afternoon. I hope you've had a fun week, even though it has been a week back at school. Maybe not quite as fun as half term, but there we go. Well, whatever your week's been like, whether you've been having an up week or a down week, we are going to have a bit of a worship workout now. So I hope you're up and ready to get moving and grooving. It's going to be with Emily. So over we go. Thank you, Emily, for that. It's great to get up and moving and worshipping and praising God at the same time. Maybe if you join us for online church and there's some songs you just want to get up and start moving, as well as maybe singing, then that would be great to do too, because God loves it when we use our whole bodies to worship Him, not just our voices. That's great, but everything even better. Now, our story for this afternoon involves a guy called a prophet. We've had a few stories involving prophets recently. We've had Isaiah. Next week, we've got another one. And today it's a guy called Jeremiah. You may have heard of Jeremiah, you may not have heard of Jeremiah. Whether you have or haven't, today's story is about Jeremiah meeting a particular person. So we're going to go over to Jenny now, and she is going to give us our story.
Hello children, Jenny here. Today's story is all about Jeremiah visiting a potter. And here are some pots that have been made and given to me, just so that you can see some of the things that can be made from clay. I'm sure you've got some in your own house that are made from clay too. Now for the story. Jeremiah sees a potter. God told Jeremiah to go down to the pottery shop. The shop did not just sell pottery. Jeremiah could go and watch the potter making pots and jars and bowls from clay. The potter shaped the clay with his wet hands. He pulled the clay with his fingers and thumbs, making the shape taller, smoother and rounder, or sometimes, whoops, wobbly and wonky. When that happened, or if the potter did not like the shape of the pot he had made, he squashed the clay together and started again. The potter wanted his pots to be the very best he could make. He worked and worked until each and every pot was perfect. God told Jeremiah to tell the people that he wanted them to be the very best people they could be. And God would work and work to make them his perfect people, just like the potter worked to make his pots perfect. You can find that story in the Bible in Jeremiah chapter 18, verses 1 to 12. Bye.
Hello Sunday Club, it's Celia again. Now you heard the story earlier about a potter, didn't you? Do you remember? Now he or she does a very old ancient type of work. As you heard, this is a very skillful process. They can use an earth called clay and make a pot for cooking like that, which came from a very ancient land also, a long way away, or a vase, or it can be an item like, like this. My son made that at school when he was about 11 or 12. And I'm not sure what it's for, but I just keep things in it. And he's put his initial there, so that's nice. And then it is shaped on this pottery wheel into whatever you're making, and then it will go into a very hot special oven to make this item useful and usable. Now, not your oven at home in the kitchen, no, a very hot one. I think it's called a kiln. Now, like Jeremiah, perhaps you can go to a ceramic studio to watch this being done and have a lesson to do it yourself when they are open. Then you'll understand how difficult it is, and you do it and it just flops and you have to do it again. And as you heard, it takes a lot of patience to make it perfect. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm not making one for you. I don't quite have the equipment to do that at home, but perhaps you can just watch it on YouTube. See you soon, Sunday Club. Bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Celia, for that idea. It's so great to be able to go and actually see somebody making a pot, shaping it with their hands. And it doesn't have to be a pot, as she showed us. It could just be anything random. And we probably don't have the tools or the implements to be able to make a pot using clay like a potter's wheel and maybe some actual clay, or maybe even the skill to do that. But there is something that we can do, and that is the reason why I am currently wearing my wonderful apron made for me by my sister-in-law. It's very nice. It's got construction stuff all over it. Very boyish, in my opinion. We are going to have a go at making a thing called salt dough. Now, you may have made this before, you may not have made this before, but there are only 5 things that you need in order to be able to make salt dough. First of all, you're going to need a bowl to make it all in. Now, I have my bowl here. Here it is. Big old bread bowl. There we are. And you're also probably going to want a spoon. You can use your hands if you want, but I don't want to get too mucky, so I'm going to use a spoon. Now, already in my bowl, I have about 250 grams of flour. Okay, so that's going to be your main ingredient, the flour, to make the dough. And then there are 2 more ingredients that you need as well. You need 125 grams of salt. Got that in my glass here. 125 grams of salt, and then 125 milliliters of water. There we go. So 125 grams of salt, 125 milliliters of water, and 250 grams of flour. That's a basic ratio of 2 to 1 to 1. So 2 parts flour, 1 part salt, 1 part water. And provided you remember that, it doesn't matter how much or how little you use. If you want to make more, you can make more. If you want to make a bit less, you can make a bit less. As long as you remember it's 2 to 1 to 1, you will be fine. So I've got my flour in the bowl. I'm going to add in my salt. Here we go. And a nice big lump. Oh, out salt, out of my cup. Okay, it's not all come out, but that will do. So I'm just going to give these things a bit of a mix up now. Make sure it's all kind of in together. Looking good. Okay, now we're going to add the water. We're not going to dump it all in at one time. We're going to add it just a bit by bit because we may not need everything that's in here. So let's put in some. There we go, maybe about half, I reckon. Mix it up. See what it looks like. Oh, this is looking good. Now, the great thing about salt dough is that if you want, you can make up a batch and maybe just wrap it in some cling film if you don't want to use all of it all at once. And because it's so easy to use, once you've made it, you can make it into kind of all sorts of shapes and designs. So you could make something like a pot or a mug or a vase or something like that. Or equally, you could make, I don't know, say like an animal. If you want to have a go at making an animal, or you could try building a building. You can make a building out of it. You could make a rock if you want. And once you've made it, I'm going to have to get my hands in here. Oh, golly. Once you've made it, then you can fire it in the oven. Now, you don't need to have a special kiln or a special kind of oven. You can actually just bake it in your oven at home. And the way you do that is that you put it onto the lowest heat setting that your oven can go to, whether that's electric or gas, whatever it might be, the lowest setting. And you're probably going to end up baking it in the oven for almost 3 hours. So it's a long old process. Now, the trick is, if you want to bake it in the quickest time possible, which is still going to be about 3 hours, then if you make something kind of flat and kind of thin, or something that's got thin sides, then that's going to bake a lot quicker than if you've got something that's just kind of big and hard in the middle. So the thicker it is, the more dough there is all in one place, the longer it's going to take to bake, because it needs longer to get the heat into that middle and bake it. So it'll take maybe longer than 3 hours. So why don't you have a go at trying to make some salt dough at home? Mine's coming along. I think I'm going to need to do a bit more in my bowl, but here we go. This is how it looks so far. Not bad. Kind of looks like bread dough. I wouldn't eat it. It's going to be horribly, horribly salty, and very floury, no sugar in there whatsoever, so nothing particularly nice to be on your tongue. And I think I'm actually even going to need a little bit more water. So there we go. We've had a go at making some salt dough. I hope you guys have enjoyed the session this afternoon. If you do have a go at making some salt dough and you make something, we'd love to see a picture of it. So why don't you send us in a picture of what you've made? Maybe you could even send us a picture of the process, you getting the ingredients together, making the salt dough, having fun. And the other thing you can do is you can add food colouring. So if you want to make lots of different bits of salt dough, you can add some food colouring in to make it different colours. Oh, wouldn't that be fun? So I hope you guys are having a good day. As it's Remembrance Sunday, you could even try making some salt dough poppies. That could be good. You could add some red food colouring for the red, some green food colouring for the green, maybe a little bit of black. If you've got black food colouring, you might have black food colouring. And have a go at trying to make some poppies. Well, it's been fun to be with you guys this afternoon. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you again next week.